Are you coming back to school with me? We could have done it all so easily.
Hi, my name is Craig Thompson Wood. I'm your host on Teaching with Board Games. And this mountain of games here is just a small sample of games which I found in my collection which might be suitable for inspiring students to read based on the intellectual properties that the games are based on. So as I talked about when I reviewed this game last week, this is the game Unmatched. And Unmatched is a game where it's a whole what-if situation on what if you pit Alice in Wonderland against Sinbad the Sailor, or Medusa against King Arthur. And this is just the first box. This is the first volume. They have other ones. They have the Velociraptors from Jurassic Park, who you can put against Medusa or any of the other characters. Bruce Lee, Bigfoot, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Sherlock Holmes. There's all kinds of different sets. I mean, now that they've got the idea down and the template is there, they can just introduce more characters into this mix and create these different situations of these what-if battles. And so, but by playing this, then you start to wonder, well, I'm more curious now about Sherlock Holmes, and I'm kind of curious now about Medusa. Who was Medusa, and why is she the way she is? I mean, so it can really sort of get the mind going and the imagination and questions being asked, and inspire reading about the different characters that are presented within the game. So this is Dungeons and Dragons. Now, Dungeons and Dragons, by the very nature of the game, is all about reading and math. I mean, there's so much reading and math involved in the game. I owe a lot of my early literacy skills, and definitely my math skills, to games like Dungeons and Dragons. I did so much playing of this when I was younger, and did so much of this game and other games similar to this. This was sort of the gateway for me to looking into other types of role-playing games that were out there, and so much of these games did so much good for me when I was younger. I can't even begin to tell you. But for purposes of reading, I mean, as I say, in the game itself, there was just a ton of reading in the game itself. But there's a whole book series which are written about the universes of Dungeons and Dragons, the Forgotten Realms, and that's the only one that's coming to my mind right now. But there's definitely a lot of different authors, a lot of different novels out there about Dungeons and Dragons based materials. So if this is something that you want to sort of look into on a more fictional sense in terms of reading a story, then you can definitely find stuff in this IP. What I have here is a Batman game that I own. It's called Batman Gotham City Chronicles. Now, this one is not available in stores. I got this one on a Kickstarter, and I don't think it's being sold in stores yet, but the idea is there. I know there are many different Batman games which are out there. There's Batman Love Letter, which is actually another one that I own. There's Batman Almost Gotham, which is based on one of the episodes from the Batman animated series. There's the Batman animated series game. There's Batman in HeroClix, and there's just a whole range of different Batman games. I mean, so by playing Batman, you might get the students interested in wanting to read more about Batman, so find some age-appropriate literature about it, and that's a great way to get them hooked in by playing some games about Batman. Star Wars. Star Wars is a wonderful movie franchise, and there's a lot of different cinematic things out there. There's films and TV shows and cartoons and all kinds of stuff, but there's also a whole rich universe of novels which go deeper into the backgrounds of things, and there's so many great novels to be read around the Star Wars universe. But as I say, huge amount of reading here in novel form for Star Wars stuff, so if people are into Star Wars, like the Star Wars games, well, maybe start looking at some Star Wars novels as well. Now, this is my really old copy of Space Hulk by Games Workshop. So Space Hulk is set into the far distant future where you have these space marines. So these are the humans, and they're going through these derelict ships, and they come encountering these monsters called the Gene Stealers. It's a fantastic game, but now this applies to any Games Workshop game. Games Workshop, one of the things that they have done so well is they have created a whole universe which people really buy into, and just there's so much lore and history and behind all of this that it really just begs to be read. And anybody who gets into any kind of Warhammer 40,000 kind of game, and they're expensive miniature games, yes, but the math and the reading that comes with them is incredible, and it really does inspire people to do more of those math and reading skills. So expensive, yes. Worth it? I mean, that's for you to decide, because I mean it does have that really sort of built into it, that there's so much to be reading about, and there's so much math involved that I really think that the Games Workshop has done a really great job of motivating people to become better readers and mathematicians by playing their games. So hats off to you, Games Workshop, for that. And then we have Tales of Arabian Nights. So this is the from all the legends of this from Sinbad and Aladdin and I can't even remember the names of the other characters right now, but they're all represented within the story here. And through this game, the game involves tons of reading as you're taking turns reading to different parts as you start to create and unfold your own story throughout this game. But also the characters that they're based on. You want to know, well, who was Aladdin really? What really were the stories of Aladdin? I mean, Disney has their own interpretation of it, but if you read these stories of it, you're going to find that they're actually quite different. So the same with Sinbad and the other characters that you'll find in here as well. All these different adventures in written form and story form, and this can be a sort of a way in to say, hey, now that you've played the game, wouldn't you like to find out more about that? A great way to sort of lead into those other kinds of things. And the granddaddy here is Elder Sign, not just Elder Sign, but the whole Cthulhu mythos. Cthulhu is a dark elder god that was created by an author by the name of H.P. Lovecraft back in the 1920s, and it has just remained with us and developed and grown in popularity, especially over more recent years. Cthulhu has become so popular nowadays that it's almost like an obligatory thing that once you have a game, you have to have a Cthulhu expansion to it. There's just so many Cthulhu things added into things. This is a Cthulhu-based game where you are trying to stop different things happening, but it's all done based on dice and strategic use and manipulations of dice and such like that. But the whole Cthulhu mythos, as you start playing the games and you find that it's like a horror themed game, it's can really sort of get the imagination going and wondering more about this. And as you find out that actually there are stories about it. Now, the Cthulhu stories can be, some of them can be really difficult reading, some not so much. So really be careful about which ones, if you're going to be recommending students, maybe do a little bit of research first to help to guide them to things that are going to be more accessible to them. Cthulhu mythos have also been taken on by different authors in more recent years. So like I said, it was created by H.P. Lovecraft in the 1920s, but different authors have now started to take on the stories and to develop the lore and the mythos of Cthulhu and the elder gods. So the whole Cthulhu mythos is definitely a great one. Now, one that a viewer had mentioned to me last week when I'd done the Unmatched is that you can also look at the game HeroClix. And I'll show a picture here. This is what the viewer had showed me, that with Deadpool here, and with the HeroClix, it actually tells you some significant comics you can be looking to, so to tie in back into the comics. So if you want to say, hey, I'm interested to find out more about this particular character, this is a great way to tie them in too. So thank you very much for letting me know about that. As I'd said, I'd never played HeroClix before, which kind of surprised me, seeing as I really do like superhero games. But it's just I'd never had. So I'm happy to have known about that, and happy to be able to share that with you, the viewer, as well. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. If you have any questions about intellectual properties of games, and maybe if you have any other suggestions for games you know of that have a great intellectual property that might inspire students to read, then please leave me a message in the comment section below. If you have any questions specifically about any of the games that I've mentioned, or maybe for some recommendations on reading, then please leave me a message in the comments section below, and I'll see what I can do to answer the question the best I can. For those who are new to this channel, my mandate is to be doing gamification, game-based learning, education, gaming videos once a week. My whole focus is on just trying to help other teachers to know of the great learning that can be done through games, gamification, and such, and how to maybe incorporate these things into your own teaching practice. This is just something I feel strongly about. It's something that I wish I teach this way because I wish I was taught this way when I was younger. And I know that there are teachers who feel the same way, but maybe just need to get a little more information. So I'm helping to be that information. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. Until next time, I'm Craig Thompson Wood, your host on Teaching with Board Games, saying thanks for coming to the classroom.
Are you coming back to school with me? We could have done it all so